Sorry I can't be at the beginning of the lesson, but I have a few problems with, well, I had an exam rescheduled right up till the lesson, so we are beginning with a short video, and then when my exam is done, I'll get back to you. I'll get down to you and we'll continue almost like last time, but with hopefully better video recording and so on. I found another program. Yeah, I'll put the video from last time online. You should have gotten the link. Otherwise, write me an email at ErhvervsAkademiet and I'll send the email. Where you can find your video to you. Good. Last time we had a few problems with getting your website up and running on your local host. I found the solution, or the problem, which I didn't remember last time. I'll show you, so I'll begin by showing you how to get the last bit up and running so you can have your WordPress site on your own computer, so you can test everything before revealing it to the world. Good. So at first, you of course need to start your MAMP server like as you installed last time. Again, if you still have problems with installing MAMP, grab me in a break and we'll talk about it. Good. So you started your MAMP server, and you should get there. If you open the start page, and you'll go to this side. That's basically just a site showing you that your website is running. And what we forgot last time, we need to make the database where you put your, which will tell you your website to connect to. So we go to Tools, Php Myadmin. This looks very complex, so I'll basically skip most of what you can do here, because you can really do a lot of damage here. You can basically destroy a database and thus your website, so I'll only show you what you need to do here. Luckily it's only a couple of mouse clicks, so it's not very complicated. So now you're in your basically the place where you can manage your database, delete tables and so on. If you work a bit with databases, it should be really rather easy to recognize what you can do here. But we go to databases. We need to create a new database. Let's call it WordPress. For now, just let it be at collation. We can always change language later on and talk about that when you have more knowledge. So we just say WordPress collation database, create. Now you have a WordPress database to connect to your site. Now we're ready to begin installing our WordPress locally. So if you go to MAMP and say my website, you'll get to this page. Remember, if you had some problems with ports or you can't get access, go into the MAMP settings and change the preferences. I think I have it open here. Change the ports to set them to default. Then you can just write localhost :8888. Yeah, right, 8888 after the localhost thing, and then you should be able to see what you put in the folder. Remember, you set up. Remember in MAMP you set up the folder. Here in web server you said where you put your page, so put your WordPress there if you haven't already done so, and go to either localhost or localhost 8888, and you should see this. So if you click your WordPress, then you get to start to the. Might take a few seconds to load. Yep, then you get to the install of the WordPress site. We'll just take English and continue. Yeah, we need the database name. That's what we just made, and the username and so on. I know that, so let's go. Yeah, the WordPress in the database. Well, we called it WordPress. Username, that is root. Password is root. Localhost, and table prefix WordPress. Okay, we can't connect. Let's say root. Yeah, that was the same problem as last time. So let's say root and localhost :8888.9 and see what it says, because remember in the MAMP settings we set the MySQL, that's the database port, to 8889. So localhost :8889 and say submit, and everything works. So either localhost, and if you have any problems, check the port and say colon 88889 or whatever you set your MySQL port to be in the MAM settings. So now we can run the install. We need a site for our site, a title for our site. Let's say WordPress test. What should our username be? Usually most people call the admin user, well, admin. That's very bad from a security standpoint of view. I'll get back to that in one of the last lessons. But for now, let's call it something different, and just remember, don't call your admin user admin. Do be a little bit more imaginative. I'll call it, for now, teacher. Just, well, yeah, call it whatever you want, just not admin, because that's the first thing people will try to hack, the username admin. Password. WordPress generates very strong passwords. I suggest just stick with this, but copy it to somewhere so you can remember it, because I can't remember this on top of my head, I must admit. Email, well, that's a good idea, because if there's any problem with your site or you forgot your password, then you can be sent an email to recover the password and so on. And for first, discourage search engines from indexing the site. Basically what this setting does is it asks Google not to put your site into their index. Not all search engines respect this. Yandex.ru, the Russian search engine, is one of the most bad at not respecting people's wishes for privacy, but at least Google and DuckDuck and all the other Western search engines, they do respect that. So install WordPress, and it'll be installed now. Yep, so you can say login. So log into teacher and the password we just copied, and say remember me, then you don't need to log into it, and yeah, whatever. Remember that, and presto, you have your own local WordPress. Cool. Yeah. When you log into your WordPress, especially the first time, this is what you'll see. Basically, at a glance, gives you first when you log in, you see the dashboard. There's a few, well, they call them widgets here. First thing you'll see, that's at a glance how many posts are there on the site, pages, comments, etc. And of course, if you click on them, you go to the relevant categories. And yeah, that's it. Activity, you can see what's been published recently and so on. There's a quick draft if you want to make a quick draft for a post. And some official events. I mean, might not be that webcams are might not that interested in you, but there's a lot of community around WordPress. So as you can see there, for example, there's a meeting up, there's a meetup in Aarhus on November 28th. So there's a lot of community around the site which are around the system, so which you can participate in. Many of them are actually free, and some conferences, of course, also cost money. But yeah, that's the dashboard. Underneath the dashboard, if there's updates, this one will be visible, and there'll be a number next to it, so you can see the number of updates. You can see if you need to update WordPress itself, and plugins. You can also update if you have any of the plugins you use on your site. We'll get back to those next time. In depth, yeah, you can see the plugins there, and of course, if there's anyone that need to be updated, you can update them. Yeah, and then of course, if you run the updates, then after the updates, the number next to the red circle with the number will of course disappear because there's no more updates. Yeah. Okay. Let's just let's let this on in the background. This is a post. We talked a slight bit about that last time, a bit quick, so let's give it a run over once more. Of course, at first in the posts is the title. Posts are thought of as, well, that's blog posts. So post is if you have a blog roll or something similar where you update continuously with new content and so on. So yeah, which is actually a good idea to have for a company. People love seeing what you're doing. So in the top, there's the title of the post. Underneath here you can add media if you want to add images. You can basically just open Explorer or Finder if you're on Mac, and basically take the file and drop it onto this upload if you have that open in your web browser. Or I can just say upload file and select them, and then you get the selector. You can basically upload anything, but media library is mainly thought of for media files such as images, videos and sound. Do mind that video takes up a lot of space, and I would strongly recommend using services such as YouTube or similar to host your video files. Media library, you can actually see what media files have been uploaded to your website. I'll show you on a live site in a bit, so you can see how it looks with a filled-in media library. Yeah, and then you can create galleries, of course, if you want to put images into a gallery. You can make playlists if you have more audio files, video files, etc. Featured image, I'll get back to that in a moment. Yeah, so you can add media to your post. As you can see, if you write here, it looks, well, the menu bar looks a lot like Word. Can't usually change fonts though, but you can set different sizes for fonts, so, and styles, so heading 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. Again, a bit like Word. Of course, bold, italic, bulleted list, numbered lists. If you want a block quote, just show you that looks slightly different. And so on. Might not look much in the editor, but yeah, basically this is like Word. And if you want to have a link, of course, here, and remove a link, yeah. Now, if any of you have slight bit experience with coding HTML and similar, you can actually change from the Visual Composer to text view. And basically show everything what you want in the code. Write it in as HTML in the text view. As you can see, I wanted this title to be big, so I gave it an H2 tag, but you can basically ignore the text and just use the visual editor if you only want that. Yeah, good. If you go here on the top right, you can see publish. Of course, you can save a draft. It's good. They're actually auto-saved every some minutes, so yeah, save drafts. But if you say and you can say preview, then you can see preview of how it look on the side. This theme apparently does not like block quotes, but some themes will show them in a big quotation box. Yeah. So you can change the status from draft and pending review. Pending review if you have a site that has, well, editors and so on, so they can have to accept posts before they get. But let's get released. So yeah. But for now, draft. You can change the visibility. You can basically actually password protect your post so people can't see your post on your website. Private means it's only you might publish, but you can only see it. And publish immediately. You can also schedule your post. That's pretty powerful. So if your market research shows your users are more active in the evening, but well, you're working on them in the morning, you can actually say your post to be published in the evening, so it'll be published right around where your users are most active. And of course then propagate it to whatever social media you use, which will a feature we can add to the site, which will be shown in one of the last lessons. Yeah. Then publish will course publish the post. Post format, that's pretty much decided actually by the theme you're using. As you can see, this theme has a lot of formats. Do toy around with the theme, whatever theme you're using, because they change the look of the post rather much depending on what format you're using. Again, categories, you can use a category to categorize your posts. So if you have a lot of posts that say cars, you could obviously put a car category in there. Do keep in mind they are for sorting your content, so you don't really need a ton of categories. Think of categories as a broader overview of your own. You can use it to set up menus and so on to sort your content.